You ever see a company just take a truly spectacular nosedive into the earth and explode? I mean, aside from Twitter. SIMBIB. Hello folks, welcome back to Stuff I Make Because I'm Bored. My name is Sin and I will be your host, and today I want to talk about the interesting recent decisions made by Unity Technologies and this sort of trend that I've noticed of companies just spontaneously combusting. First things first, before we dive into what Unity Tech did, let's talk about who Unity Tech is. Unity Technologies is a software company, founded in 2004 as Over the Edge Entertainment in Denmark by David Helgason, Nicholas Francis, and Joachim Antti. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. It originally was founded as a video game company. Their first game, Goo Ball, was a commercial flop. However, they saw potential in the development tools they had created in order to make the game. You see, they sought to democratize game development and make development of 2D and 3D interactive games more accessible. That is a direct quote from David Helgason when he stepped down as CEO and passed the title on to John Riccitiello. When he passed the title on to John Riccitiello. Again, sorry if I mispronounced your name. He was the former CEO of EA. I'm sure that has nothing to do with what we're about to talk about. Unity Technologies created a render engine called Unity. It is a multi-platform render engine, and when it was created, it was one of very few things that supported mobile development, specifically for iPhone, when a lot of other places did not do that. This allowed them near dominance in the phone market for a couple of years. In May 2012, it was estimated that Unity was used by approximately 53% of mobile game developers. As their technology grew, the consoles they supported grew as well, and by 2018, Unity had been used to make games and other experiences for more than 25 different platforms, including mobile desktop consoles and virtual reality. By the way, a render engine is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a specific series of code that allows computers to render things in real time. It's most often used in games, but it can be useful for all sorts of other things as well, including movie making. So these guys are a true titan in game development. Their tech is even used in games like Fortnite and League of Legends. When I was in school for 3D arts and animation, they taught us how to use Unity as the sole rendering program. Now, I would be the last person to say that a company has to make their product available for free. I do think that a subscription model is infuriating and I hate it, but there are instances in which it could work. That said, Unity does have a free-to-use personal license that you can get. Basically, if you earn less than $100,000 in a year, you can use Unity for free, which is great. If you're bigger than that, you need to get Unity Pro, which costs $2,040 per year or $185 per month, and their industry subscription is $4,950 per year or $450 per month. What's important is that this kind of pricing setup, it's free unless you're earning more than $100,000 in revenue per year, makes Unity an excellent choice for many indie game developers and hobbyists alike. Truly, the influence, reach, and power that they have cannot be understated. And you know what they say, with great power comes even greater profits. I first noticed that something was wrong when I saw 4 to 5 consecutive angry tweets by completely unrelated people on my timeline. Now, I curate my feed pretty extensively, so for something like this to happen, it's pretty unusual. Turns out that what had happened was that Unity announced a change, a slight tweak, a little update to their pricing model. They added what they called a Unity runtime fee, which would take effect on January 1st, 2024. But what is it? In short, it is a fee that the developer must pay to Unity for every install of a piece of software, game or otherwise, by the end user of a product after both of the following requirements are met. The software must have earned at least $200,000 in revenue in the last 12 months, and this includes all revenue generated by this thing, by the way, not just the initial sale. This also includes in-app purchases, subscription fees, offline payments, ad revenue, etc. And the game must have had 200,000 installs over its entire lifetime. So for the personal free plan, it will cost you 20 cents per install. Unless, of course, it was installed in a country that is not Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Japan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, South Korea, the United Kingdom, or the United States. in which case it's only 2 cents per install. It is an emerging market. But otherwise, it is 20 cents per install. Not sale, install. I'm having a hard time even formulating my thoughts about this, honestly. Let's say if I have a mobile app that I made using Unity as the engine, and I make the game cost $5. I owe Unity 20 cents every time the game is installed. So someone buys my game, I get $5 minus the listing fees, so 15% for Google, that's about 75 cents, and now also minus the 20 cents that goes to Unity. Then, the person who bought it gets a new phone. They install the game that they own, by the way, again on their new phone. Whoops! There goes another 20 cents that I as the developer need to pay to Unity. And then maybe this user wasn't playing the game very much, so they uninstalled it. And then a couple months later they think, I kind of want to play that game again. And then they reinstall the game, costing me another 20 cents. Meaning that this one user who uninstalled and reinstalled the game a couple times, a game that they have bought, that is theirs, has now cost me, the developer, someone who has no say at all in what this user does with their own property, 60 cents. That's wild. Stardew Valley would owe Unity at least $200 for how often I uninstall and reinstall the game on my computer. And you might be saying, wait, if it's based on installs, what about people who pirate games and don't give any money to the developers at all? Well, those installs would count by Unity as well. You could find yourself needing to pay Unity money for a product someone stole from you. But wait, you might say. Hang on, you might say. How does Unity even know how many times a piece of software has been installed, or how much money that's been made off of it? Well, my friend, let me tell you what they say about that on their own goddamn website. All determinations, calculations of installs, and revenue related to the Unity runtime fee will be made by Unity in its sole discretion. They don't even know. They are just f***ing guessing. They can literally look at how well or not well your game or whatever it is of yours is doing and just make a rough estimate of what they think you earned and how many people may have installed it, and then just charge you for that. And don't think this only applies to people who didn't pay for Unity, okay? People who are paying for it are not off the hook. If you have Unity Pro, that's a $2,040 per year one, you have to pay Unity 15 cents per install for the first 100,000 installs. After that, it's $0.075 per install, and it goes down as the tiers go up. Following the example on their website, this is so crazy. If you have Unity Pro, again, you've paid $2,040 per year for this, and you have 200,000 estimated installs, you would owe Unity 100,000 times 15 cents plus 100,000 times $0.075 for a total of $22,500. This is calculated per month, by the way. So if you have 200,000 installs, but it's spread evenly over the course of 3 months, it's actually 200,000 times 15 cents, or $30,000. And if you don't have Pro, you just have the free version, 200,000 installs would cost you $40,000 no matter how spread out the installs are. What? Huh? It's mind-boggling. Why? Where did this idea even come from? I mean, changing the free tier into a low-cost fee per month thing would have been much more understandable to me, like $20 a month or something. Like, I feel like that makes sense. But 20 cents per install while admitting that you don't know the actual install count is just, it's wild. It's wild. And that doesn't even mention the free-to-play games that somebody could make. Like, lots of mobile games are free-to-play, with in-app purchases, sure. You would literally be earning negative money if you were using Unity at that point. And if you're thinking, well, people who earn that much from Unity from a free product deserve to pay Unity something for using their product, according to their own pricing structure. If you earn more than $100,000 per year, you already need to do that. That's when you need to get Unity Pro. So what this is actually saying to me is that they want to completely fuck over everyone using their platform and then milk them completely dry off of every single penny that they can squeeze from them. It's bizarre. Just bizarre. Now, with all that said, how did people react to this news? Well, not well. I'm seeing nothing but fury and anger from every single indie game dev that I follow, righteous anger from the people who support those people, as well as people like me, who are fascinated to see how giant companies like, let's say Riot Games, aka League of Legends, are going to respond to this. Now, with the fallout and the backlash of this truly buck-wild idea, Unity Tech released a statement. Well, a tweet addressing this, almost a week later. We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday has caused. We are listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and will be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in the next couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback. Wait, that's weird. Are you guys seeing that? What's this little translate button doing right here? Yo, we see that we've made you mad, which totally sucks for you. LOL, here's some words that make you think that we're listening to ya, but actually, we're just gonna tweak the policy changes slightly and then just stay radio silent, hoping this will blow over and you forget about it. Later, nerds! Yeah, that tracks. Editing's in here to say that I cannot believe I forgot to mention this. The Unity bosses sold a shit ton of stocks a week before Unity revealed this new fee. Bro, what the f***? In closing, what do you think possesses a company like that to do something like that? I mean, yes, the current CEO of Unity Tech is John Riccitiello, former CEO of EA, who was famously once quoted as saying, "Those game devs who avoid implementing monetization early on in the creative process are some of the most beautiful, pure, and brilliant people, and also some of the biggest f***ing idiots." So, it makes sense, but aside from that, where do they get off? Who looked at this and thought, yeah, that'll fly with our customers? I mean, yeah, it's greed, it's plain and simple greed, but even from a greed perspective, it makes no sense to me. Destroying your company would lose you all the revenue, not just some, but the whole, all of it. The whole, all of it. It's like that bird that's I took a calculated risk, but man, am I bad at math. And it reminds me of this cool Twitter thread that I came across by a person called John Bull, @Garius, that talks about the trust thermocline. John's a business consultant, and he consults businesses who experience a rapid decline in users. A thermocline is the delineation in a large body of water between the areas where the water goes from kind of warm still to incredibly freezing cold almost instantly. The trust thermocline, then, is what is breached when a company steadily wears down and down and down the trust of its user base until they do something that pushes into the thermocline, and suddenly all the users who were still there, who were putting up with the price hikes, the degradation of services, and all the other bullshit, Adobe, have finally had enough and they all jump ship at once. There's always warning signs. People complain about the fee hikes, that the service isn't what it used to be, but they put up with it all, sunk cost fallacy and all of that, and the company just keeps going down and down and down and down until sploosh. That's it. There's almost no coming back from that point. The trust is gone. And if you ask me, that's where Unity's found itself. At the bottom of the ocean, crushed by its own greed. Have you ever heard of Unity? Do you think there's actually a trust threshold point of no return for companies, and did Unity hit it with this move? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you thought it was time well spent, leave a like. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. I post videos every Tuesday at noon Eastern. If you want to hear from me more frequently, and if you'd like sneak peeks into future videos, you can follow me on all my social medias. You can find the ats here and in the description. That's all, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Simbib, stuff I make because I'm bored. I'll be honest, it is kind of fun watching Twitter sink down in the sub towards the thermocline. I kind of hope Musk ends up there at the bottom of the ocean, crushed into tiny, itty bitty little pieces.